and welcome to the Global Dynasty YouTube channel. Real Housewives of Potomac Season 7 Reunion Part 1. Let's get into it. The reunion started out with Andy asking the ladies their thoughts on the seating arrangement. And if I'm being honest, we all know that seating arrangements are normally based on performance throughout the season. But the excuse that Andy provided was that the producers felt that the seating should have been based on how well the ladies were getting along. When we all know as viewers throughout any given time throughout the season, these ladies can be either friends or foes. So Karen and Gizelle were not deserving of first chair, and I'll just leave it at that. But it started out with the introduction banter, and apparently Gizelle is dating someone from Summer House, but she'll probably more than likely use him as her storyline for season 8, so I'm pretty sure that's not the last of that we'll be hearing. First up in the hot seat is Ashley. Of course, we went through a recap of Ashley throughout the season, of Ashley's divorce with Michael and her transition to her new life as a single woman. And I feel like Ashley provided us a lot more at the reunion than we got of her throughout the season. And first and foremost, I want to discuss the situation that happened with her and the guy Luke that she was dating. So Ashley goes over an incident where she's chilling with Luke at her house, and Michael has the children, and he's supposed to have the children until Monday. And Michael ends up bringing the children back on Sunday. And so Luke has to leave immediately and get back on the train to go back to where he came from because Michael showed up with the kids early. And I find that very interesting, just the dynamic of their situation with them supposedly having a divorce and how much Michael is still involved in her life and also her decisions. So Michael now has a key to her new house. We all know that Ashley moved into her new home that is $13,000 a month, and she did not. The prenup. Let's discuss the prenup. This was a key for me because it didn't work out in her favor. All of the money that Michael had before their marriage, he keeps. Anything that he made from his projects during their marriage, he also keeps, because the money that he invested in those projects came from another source before they were married. I tell you what, let me tell you something. Ashley thought that she knew that prenup, but Michael made sure that everything was in his favor, and she honestly wasn't reading. I feel like it was a situation where Ashley just listened to everything Michael was saying and said, okay. And obviously he wasn't working things out for her to win. That is completely obvious. So the ladies start asking her so many questions as, to why you can't get these things at the end of your marriage. She's not even getting alimony. Ashley did indeed not secure the bag, and I think that's all what we thought would be happening when she first filed for this divorce. We thought that, okay, based on Michael's past, his infidelity, and everything that we've seen, that she was good to go. She was set for life. The kids more than likely are good to go and set for life, and that's why that house is in the LLC, so Michael can still have that control. And I really hope that Ashley has her ducks in order for when those kids hit the age of 18, because who knows what Michael is liable to do with that house that's set up in their LLC once those kids hit 18. Who knows what's in the paperwork and the documents. And this just goes to show Ashley was so busy and so worried about Chris throughout the season and who he was trying to hit on or who he was flirting with, when indeed she should have been looking at her paperwork. She should have been making sure that was in order. She should have been making sure that she was going to be walking away with something. And I can't feel bad for her in that situation. I can't feel bad for someone that is going around to someone else's business when they need to tend to their own. I just cannot. And one thing that Candiace reminded Ashley of, Ashley was so gun-ho in past seasons and saying how Candiace's mother was the one that helped Candiace, or this is Candiace's mother's house, and she's no different from Candiace. She's receiving help from her ex-husband. If anything, Candiace is receiving generational wealth from her mother. She's helping her. In your case, you're about to divorce this man and you can't make it without him. Like, that's tea. You want him to pay for a lifestyle that you can't afford. Next up, we have Mia, and it begins with her health scare and just discussing everyone's perspective and their thoughts throughout the season. Then Andy asks, how are you along with your health scare journey and what's going on? And she reveals that she's still under care, but she doesn't have a diagnosis. And she also lets us know that it's not cancer or anything that could be life-threatening at this time. She does have to get some certain tissue removed and all that jazz. But I think the most interesting part was when Andy asked Wendy about her hot mic moment when she called Mia a liar. And of course, Mia was in her feelings because of what Wendy said. I think that for some reason when Wendy says something, the ladies, Wendy puts them in their feelings. Like, they get really mad at her. And she felt like she should have said it to her face if she was a snake. But nobody can be more of a snake than Gizelle, that said that she was lying about having cancer. So I think that her energy should be more directed towards Gizelle versus Wendy. And Wendy stood on it. She was like, I said that you were a liar because I think that you were lying. And Mia should have just ate her soup and been quiet that day and not even came for Dr. Wendy, because she knows she's going to give it to her. So the funny part of Mia's segment is when Andy asked her about losing her business to Gordon's brother. Y'all, Mia says that she was taken off the bank accounts, and she says that Gordon was voted out. When the lady started asking her questions, because they were like, I thought you were the CEO. She said that I am. Karen was like, well, how much of the company do you own? It's like 42%. And Mia's like, no, I own more. So they're like, how did they boot y'all out? It's just not making sense. She started fumbling over her words. It got to the point where she was like, Andy, I don't want to answer any questions because this is not funny. Next question. And you can just tell, like, she was getting flustered because it's just like, girl. But some key things that we learned throughout that is Mia basically is living on her savings at this time and whatever she's making from Real Housewives of Potomac. And her rental home, she had to give that up. I mean, they're back in another rental property, but the stuff that they had in Charlotte, they no longer have. And honestly, this girl is on thin ice, because if she's not invited back next season, then who knows where she's going to be getting her income from. She should have thought about that before she wanted to start throwing drinks and assaulting people. And so Gizelle says, like, the whole story that Mia's trying to tell, it sounds like embezzlement. And again, Mia didn't give her any type of energy. It was just like, next question, we're gazing over that. That's why it's just like, it's so funny just seeing how certain people interact with some of the older castmates. It's as if, like, Mia won't step to Gizelle because she knows she has, I guess, that seniority in the group. But it's just like, girl, she's the main one that comes for you. The reunion pretty much wrapped with Candiace's fertility journey and also her discussion with Gizelle lying on Chris. Candiace calls Gizelle out about having her multiple versions of the story and how she tried to portray her husband on TV. And we all know that Gizelle had multiple stories throughout the whole entire season. First, it was the door was closed, the door wasn't closed, he was all in my DMs, and She just wanted to ride the wave and be included in the conversations that were going on about Chris, and she wanted to bring it up all of a sudden because everybody else was bringing it up. That was her whole thing. She didn't want it to seem like she was just bringing this story out of nowhere. But no, we all peep her game. This is what you do, Gizelle. That's you, and this is your storyline. And so Gizelle tries to give Candiace a half apology, and Candiace does not accept that apology and tells her she can shove it where the sun does not shine. But on a lighter note, Candiace reveals that she does have 6 embryos, which I am very excited for her. And I can't wait to see her journey to motherhood. And this is very deserving of her, especially in this moment and what she's going through at this time. One thing I did enjoy seeing is how pro Chris Andy was. He was very much on his side throughout this whole situation with Gizelle. And he asked her if she feels anything about possibly damaging Chris's reputation. And that's when Wendy actually brings up a very valid point. Wendy said that the viewers would be understanding and also give Gizelle the benefit of the doubt if this wasn't a pattern for Gizelle. Gizelle has a pattern for attacking people's marriages along with their husbands. So this is not just a one-time thing, it's an occurrence. Excuse me, it's reoccurring. And I think that maybe throughout this reunion we may see Andy actually holding Gizelle accountable for her actions throughout this season and her role that she played in stirring up this drama and making it much more than what it actually was. But overall, I think that it was a great start. Wasn't bad at all. If anything, Candiace read the girls for filth. She came ready and equipped. And honestly, Wendy did too. Unexpectedly, I feel like some people were catching strays and I was there for it. So let me know in the comments what you all think. Are you ready for part 2? Do you think that Robin will be in the hot seat? How much will Andy hold her accountable of her role in the situation with Mia? Are we ready for that discussion? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.